Beautiful, near-perfect humans with powerful belt buckles. Humans turn into tryptophobic weapons. Kirk, McCoy, and Scotty harvest the benefits of substance abuse, and the Enterprise will cross the galactic barrier once again as we paralyze our senses to discover how bad was this episode. By Any Other Name is one of those episodes nobody ever talks about, and I can tell right from the bat why. Sulu was missing. You know, I'm kidding. I'm sure many of you have your own reasons why this episode isn't exactly a fan favorite. We get a conquering gang of just 5 members with belt buckles that paralyze people, bad makeup, tryptophobic traps, and practically zero tension. Well, some tension in some scenes. By Any Other Name was written by D.C. Fontana and Jerome Bixby. And remember, D.C. Fontana has already been featured here before, so we're all among friends, right? Wrong. This time we have Warren Stevens, Stuart Moss, a very young Julia Cobb, and the beautiful, sensual, and stunning Moneypenny. No, not that Moneypenny. No, not that one either. This Moneypenny from Casino Royale from 1967, or what you could call Austin Powers' granddaddy. That's with Peter Sellers, Orson Welles, Ursula Andress, Woody Allen, an uncredited Peter O'Toole, and an uncredited Angelica Houston. I really recommend it. It's hilarious. You're gonna love it. You can even rent it here on YouTube. And right, we were talking about Star Trek. But first, before we continue, remember you can follow me on my social networks, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to see the full reaction to this episode's uncensored, uncut, and ads-free, and you also want to support the creation of more videos like this, you can become a patron or a YouTube member. I will leave all the links in the description box below. Okay, so the Enterprise arrives at this beautiful planet after responding to a distress call. As soon as they land, these two show up to greet them. We have Rojan, who decided to go 2 shades lighter on his makeup, and Kalinda, whose falsies were uneven right here. Rojan's not screwing around. He skips the tour, skips the welcome basket, and makes his intentions crystal clear.
You will surrender your ship to me.
So, these guys are Kelvans from the Andromeda Galaxy. They need a ship to transport them back and then conquer a new planet to call home. Kirk refuses and offers an alternative: bring their request to the Federation and settle on a planet legally through the Federation's rules. But the Kelvins, you see, they're kinda assholes, and they don't want to settle.
We do not colonize. We conquer.
Yeah, tasting the fruits of somebody else's hard work and taking it by force, real strong-willed hero vibes there, mate. In my little village, we call those people gandayas. Huevones. Mantenidos, but that's just us, okay? Turns out the Kelvins have these badass belt buckles that paralyze people at the push of a button. You can still hear, see, and feel, but you can't move. Remember law-abiding citizen? Same thing, minus the gore. Actually, this episode had much darker undertones, but it was the 60s, so instead we got paralyzed people. And whatever the hell these things are. Spock, ever the curious one, asks about the paralysis belts, and Rojan, as if he were hosting a podcast, casually reveals that the power source is a central projector. Why would he share such crucial piece of information? Because the script said so. But hey, look at the odds. The Enterprise has 400 people on board, and I don't see that many Kelvins around. Oh, but Rojan had it all planned out. Turns out 3 of his people were already aboard the Enterprise, and they paralyzed the entire crew to take over the ship. They plan to modify the Enterprise and use it to travel back home, a journey that will take them about 300 years. Meanwhile, the landing party is locked up in a dungeon to keep them from causing trouble. Hainer, one of the Kelvins, and Rojan start talking about how the human bodies they're using have heightened senses but still are very fragile. Yeah, no kidding, you're obviously fragile if your new body weighs 42 pounds after dinner. While in the dungeon, the crew discusses their captors. Spock points out that his tricorder registered the Kelvans as near-perfect human beings. They also recall Rojan mentioning the central projector. See? Told you. And realize they need to find it before the Kelvans can use the Enterprise to conquer some planet or the entire Federation. Since no one knows what the projector actually looks like, they decide to use Spock as a Vulcan probe, just like he did it in A Taste of Armageddon. So off he goes, trying to mind meld his way into Kalinda's thoughts. He's opening the gate and... What? You're telling me the Kelvins are mentally stronger than the Vulcans? Well, congrats, writers, you just broke Spock. Kalinda rushes into the cell and... I mean, it's not like they didn't try to be creative writing this episode. It's just, Kirk's already done this trick before and nobody seemed to care. Kirk manages to grab Kalinda's belt buckle and they all make a run for it. And the crew gets paralyzed faster than some impatient asshole honking at the green light. Like, mate, what do you want me to teleport? Of course, this escape attempt doesn't go unpunished. And since these three are protected by I'm on the main title's armor, and this was the 60s, Rojan decides to use the only woman... he takes the... he takes the red shirts. He makes an example out of the red shirts. Jeez. Now, using their fancy belt buckles, they turn the red shirts into these tryptophobic bath bombs. I can't even look at them directly without feeling I'm one step away from puking. This little blob supposedly contain a person's essence, and if they're destroyed...
This person is dead.
Of course, there's a way to reverse the process. Hey, surprise! Here you go, we brought you back. You might have a couple of broken ribs, a concussion, maybe a seizure every 12 hours, but nothing serious. This jackass actually killed a girl, you misogynistic freak. Anyway, back to the dungeon, and Spock tells the others that he did have some sort of contact with Kalinda, and that the Kelvins somehow adopted human form, but in reality they are gigantic monsters with over 100 tentacles, and they can use each one for a different activity. Only 100? Amateur hour, that's barely enough for one proper hentai fanfic. It's funny that they chose a gigantic monsters with tentacles. I mean, it's not like humankind has ever thought of that, right? Right? I mean, why do we associate tentacles with creepy things? I mean, really, why? And now, back to the central projector. Boy, this central projector thing really seems to be important, and I'm pretty sure that's the path this episode is taking. Anyway, Kirk gets an epiphany with a little bit of...
Jam.
Here comes the man.
And now the plan is to make Spock look sick so he can be beamed back to the Enterprise. So Spock takes a Gary Oldman-style nosedive into method acting and hypnotizes himself. Then they call the skinny guy and with the medical vision on, immediately diagnoses Spock as very sick and allows him and McCoy to go back to the Enterprise. As soon as they get there, McCoy injects him with some sort of BS to bring him back and continue their plan. What plan, you ask? Beats me, they're making this up as they go. Now, Kirk and Rojan are discussing from leader to leader the conditions of their new relationship as conqueror and conquered. Bonus points for this dialogue, and this actually is super engaging. Even if they are now conquered and conqueror, they still feel a lot of respect for each other, and Rojan understands that Kirk has a vital responsibility towards his crew. Everything's going fine until the woman walks in and starts talking about flowers. The episode fast forwards to everyone back on the ship, and they make the Enterprise travel at warp 11 in order to get to the galactic barrier. I mean, look at this girl, she's just stunning. Did the Kelvins acquire these bodies at some shop or something? Because, I'm asking for a friend. Kirk goes to sickbay and Spock locates this infamous central projector in the engineering room. And here goes probably one of my favorite parts of the entire episode. Without telling us the plan, we see Scotty and Spock meddling with the projector as Kirk is seen in the background distracting the Kelvin in charge. You see, Hollywood? That's how you write a simple scene. If this had been written today by one of those underpaid, lactose-intolerant caramel macchiato addicts calling themselves writers, They'd explain the plan 3 times, have Kirk screw it up, and then let the token multi-talented girl boss show up out of nowhere and save the day, cut into 67 shaky cam takes. Anyway, jamming the central projector? Impossible. The casing is impenetrable, and thus the only solution now, apparently, is to make use of the matter and antimatter energies from the ship to do the unthinkable. Toast everyone on board. They tell Kirk the bad news, but they reach the bridge too soon, and Kirk cannot make a choice yet, and they have little time as he can now see the galactic barrier from here. It would only take one order from Kirk to end the series here, but he decides to hold to their contract positions. They cross the galactic barrier. Ah, Gary Mitchell, I missed you. Why weren't you here for this barrier crossing? Imagine the showdown. Ego versus ego. That would have been fun. As soon as they cross the barrier, this psycho orders a neutralizing operation, meaning everyone that is not essential becomes a salt shaker. So out of 400 people, only 4 are essential. A 1%. Talk about bureaucracy, really. And it does kind of feel shitty to see Kirk walking around the Enterprise and seeing what should be people turn into an inanimated object. Rojan tells Kirk that he knew all along about their plans to blow up the ship and reminds him that he has no power here. Why don't you go get a baby wipe and clean up that makeup, you morgue fugitive? But Kirk, our gold-shirted master of improvisational seduction and diplomatic sabotage, doesn't go down easy. No. He goes down weird, because the only weapon left in his arsenal is horniness. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Captain James T. Kirk whips out the most powerful tool in the Federation's playbook: raw, unapologetic, pheromone-laced flirtation. And he uses it on Kalinda, the only Kelvin who seems vaguely interested in knowing what humans do besides scream and obey. Suddenly, our 100-tentacled horror in human form finds herself flustered, confused, weak in the knees. She was created in the image of a woman, and now she's got the original womanizer whispering sweet nothings in her ear and holding her hand like he's about to propose. Lady, blink twice if you're being manipulated by the captain's pheromones. Meanwhile, McCoy decides he's had enough of sitting around pretending not to hate his job, so he starts experimenting with medical harassment. He injects one of the Kelvans with a chemical cocktail designed to awaken suppressed emotion, I guess, and just like that, our emotionless alien captors start experiencing feelings, which of course means they immediately become irrational, jealous, petty, so human. Spock backs this up with logic, because of course he does, trying to introduce doubt, insecurity, and a bit of Vulcan gaslighting. I'm telling you, Spock can be more toxic than your ex. But the real MVP? Scotty, who decides to get one of the Kelvins drunk, and I mean obliterated. They have a full-on drinking contest in his quarters. Well, not a contest, but you know, Scotty just keeps pulling bottles out of nowhere like he's a one-man speakeasy. He's drinking a contest for the fate of the galaxy. Or Wednesday night, as they call it in Glasgow. Eventually, the Kelvin passes out, mumbling about how many eyes he used to have, and Scotty, heroic, barely conscious, wins the round. He passes out, though, but not before he manages to take his belt buckle and also his opponent down in the proudest tradition of Scottish engineering. But even that's not enough, because Rojan, our cranky alien-in-chief, with a much better tone on his skin now, still thinks he's in control. That is, until Kalinda starts developing attachments, and that's when Kirk really turns it up. He kisses Kalinda again right in front of Rojan, who's already teetering on the edge of a full-blown space tantrum. Rojan, confused and furious, gets slapped twice. He goes full bro mode. He loses it. Man gets so jealous, so irrational, he almost punches Kirk out of the friend zone and out of existence. That's when the trap is sprung. Kirk doesn't need to blow up the ship. He just has to stir the pot hard enough until the Kelvins start showing human emotion. Because, you see, that's the real twist. Once these tentacle freaks started inhabiting human bodies, they became vulnerable to human feelings, desire, jealousy, the urge to punch somebody in the face when they double park. Basically, they downloaded the worst expansion pack available, humanity, unstable. Finally, once the Kelvins are all either drunk, horny, or having emotional breakdowns, or just wiped out of the script, Kirk confronts Rogen and hits him where it hurts. You're already human now, buddy. You might as well act human and stay here. And Rogen, in a rare moment of script, goes, alright. The episode wraps up with Kirk pointing out that the Kelvins can't go back to being what they were. They've changed. They're not conquerors anymore, they're inhabitants, citizens of our meat prison, prisoners of the flesh, now burdened with dreams, conflict, insecurity, and a high probability of alcoholism. And this guy, who cares? Somebody throw him a sandwich. So instead of continuing this mission, Rogen agrees to give up the ship, stay in our galaxy, and build a new life, complete with feelings, disappointment, and maybe even a mortgage. Kirk gets his ship back, the crew is safe, and the Kelvins walk off into the sunset of character development. The Enterprise resumes her mission, having once again survived an existential crisis. Kirk saved the day again, not with phasers, not with brute force, but with seduction, psychological warfare, and just a dash of mutual respect. Fade out and credits, no one's charged for war crimes, classic Star Trek. So, did you like this episode? Can we all agree Kalinda's got nothing on this girl? Have you seen Casino Royale from 1967? Now, don't forget you can vote for your 15 favorite episodes from Star Trek The Original Series Season 3. I highly recommend you go visit my new website where I have also get this poll going for you to come and vote. The 15 most voted episodes will get a reaction video here on YouTube, and the other 15 will get a review video here, and the reaction videos will be exclusive for patrons and YouTube members. Thank you for watching this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless, and bye-bye.